All right, we're good.
All right, we're back. It's the talented teacher coaches coming to speak with you about finding a support person. I'm Jenny, and my colleague Betsy is here with us, of course, today.
Yes, it's Betsy, and we are again going to focus this week on finding support for yourself as a teacher. And it's such an important topic. And some of these topics that we're going to talk about the next 5 weeks in this series of things that you really need to know, whether you're a first year teacher or a veteran, is they can sort of be interchangeable, right? Like the first one we talked about might not be like the most important one. We just listed that first. This one might actually be your most important one, finding support people,
Right.
or it might be that the fifth week is your most important one. So we're just sort of giving you our top 5 things that we think you need to know that are like major things that teachers need to know. So this week, our focus again is on finding your support person, team, group.
And
Uh,
and Betsy, yeah, let's talk about why it is so important. We have discussed in the past that teaching, literally, if you go and you read research or you just look up 10 most stressful jobs, type of thing, or careers, teachers are generally, if not number two, number three on the list, just below an ER doctor or ER nurse, and just above a police officer. So when we talk about the amount of stress that can come and how, if you don't mitigate it somehow, it can really burn you out fast.
yeah, so yeah, if like Jenny said, if you do sort of just Google the top 10 most stressful jobs, it's typically listed, at least if it's not in the top 10, it's in the top 20. And a lot of the ones that are above teaching are sort of like in the emergency management kind of thing. So police officer or like a surgeon,
First
emergency,
responders.
first responder, paramedic, all of those people are like number one, and they can all sort of be lumped in together. But then teacher is somewhere within like that top 10, along with nurses and maybe a pilot or social workers,
Exactly.
right? And I think it's important to mention here too that with this, the stressors of being a teacher, a lot of people don't tell you, but you are taking on the role of some of these other people, right? Sometimes
Mm,
you might have to act as a social worker, or sometimes you might have to act as a nurse or a counselor or an emergency responder, right? Like if one of your kids accidentally has peanut butter in the cafeteria and you have to treat them for anaphylactic shock and you have to give them the EpiPen. Like there's a
right.
lot of these other roles that we have to take on as teachers that are stressful positions in and of themselves, right? And they're
Yeah.
listed as these stressful jobs, and then we are sort of taking on that role. So is really, really so important because our job is so stressful for you guys to find a support system. I would say a support system.
Yes.
Um,
One thing people say to me when whether it's a good friend and they just somehow forgot that it's middle school I teach, or if I meet a stranger and I tell them I'm a teacher, they say, wow, that must be so hard. Or wow, that's got to be a lot. Meaning, I mean, they're saying, we know what you do is it's a massive job with a massive amount of responsibility. It's honorable. It's, a civil servant type of position in our society. Um, but just like in other podcasts where we've talked about, you're not just going into the building to deliver content. There are all these other things that come along with it. And none of what we say is meant to discourage you. It's just we're being really honest with you about it, and hoping to give you tips on and how to manage it and stay with it. But being being a teacher is incredibly stressful. You can take that stress home, and that's why we're trying to talk you through some things that can help.
Yep. So it can be incredibly stressful, but it would be to your benefit to, again, find these support people. If you are, in most states, if you are a first through maybe third year teacher, you will be assigned an official mentor. And so you need to check into that maybe day one. Definitely, you need to check into having an assigned mentor prior to the students coming, because once the students come, it's just going to be nonstop. And so if you have that mentor already assigned to you, um, typically that will be assigned to you within the first week, but occasionally, things get busy and the mentor is not assigned to you. But if you are a first through third, even sometimes fifth year teacher, you
Yes.
need to get like that assigned mentor, and it should be officially done through the school, and they will have you matched up with a person. Um, but Jenny and I had sort of talked about this and said, you should also have another sort of support group. Maybe you have
Yes.
friends, pastors, ministers, priests, other fellow teachers, your family,
Yes.
like people that you can vent to on a daily basis, maybe a weekly basis, but a daily basis would be great.
It
Um,
really helps.
it does help a lot. And what would help even more is if at least one of those people is in education or has some familiarity with education. Maybe their parents were educators, or they have another close friend who is an educator, or something like that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of teachers try to use their spouse as their main support person, and I'm certainly not boohooing that idea, but the point that, Betsy just made about trying to find someone in education, no one will understand. No one will understand how hard it is and rewarding that it is to be a teacher other than another teacher. Even guidance counselors, even, social workers, they have such important roles, but if they're not in the classroom daily, like a teacher would be, they're just not going to understand. So, lean on your husband or wife and lean on your family, but as you develop your career, um, find teachers that you really get along with, that you click with, and stay in contact with them. Betsy and I haven't worked together for almost 8 years, and we stay in contact every single day, and we talk about school and other related matters, and also personal matters too, because we're such good friends now. But finding someone in education, someone that you can just text and say, "Oh my gosh, today," um, is it will it will make your soul feel better, it will.
And, and just as a side note with this, along with your support person, and we didn't really put this in our notes for this podcast, but it just occurred to me that you probably should, take care of yourself. We as teachers are
Absolutely.
we're told to take care of these kids and take care of these parents, and we're taking care of 30 other students in a classroom, and we have to meet all of their needs, and then we go home and we do extra work and we do all of this stuff, and we forget that we do need our self-care. So finding your support team is part of that self-care. But also, if you are a praying person, you pray, or you meditate, or you take and you go and get yourself a pedicure or a manicure over the weekend, or you get a massage, or you go and see a movie, or you read, or you journal, or something. So you have this support team that sort of is there for you to talk to, but then you also, you have to take some responsibility with self-care and sort of care for yourself. Just take some downtime where you're
Yeah.
not thinking about work, you're not stressing out. Take care of yourself, because if you're not 100%, you can't give the kids 100%.
And, I have friends who have gone to see a therapist for the primary reason of getting, help dealing with job as teachers. But, I've been in therapy before I started teaching, but I can guarantee that some of the things I talk about now with my therapist is around my job. And it's not always complaining about how hard it is or how unfair this situation or that situation might have been. It's about, the kids that I teach, the problems that they have, the things that I want to do for them that I can't. The things they bring into school with them every day, being hungry, having parents who yell at them on their drive to school every morning. Um, if you love children and you have to be a teacher, those things start to become, they almost feel like your problems. You spend so much time with these children, and so it's completely okay to worry about them and be concerned about them and feel frustrated that you can't do the things that you know they need. Um, but just make sure that, like Betsy said, you're taking care of yourself, you're talking to someone about those things, doing something that's just for you, that has nothing to do with your job.
I agree. And so some of those things, again, you do internalize those things. You take them home with you and you just feel horrible for some of these kids. And there's not really a whole lot of that you can do about some of these situations. We will get to this a little bit later in another podcast, things that you can do. And in North Carolina, we are mandated reporters. So there are things that we are required to do. It's against the law if we don't do them. But all of those kind of things can be additional stressors, but then you may have stressors that are outside of the students. Maybe you're not getting along with your coworkers. Maybe you're not feeling supported by your administration. Maybe you have parents that are really sending you emails and their phone calls and all of this every single day. Maybe you don't feel confident with your curriculum and you thought you knew your curriculum, but you don't know something you have to teach and you have to sort of brush up on that on your own. So it's not just the students that are stressors. There's all of these other stressors that can come from all of these other places. And so you sort of have to juggle a whole lot of different stressors. And so this is sort of a good point to sort of talk about, like, if you are assigned a mentor or if you are assigned a coworker that is sort of going to be your support person, what do you do if you're just not making that connection with them? Who do you go to then to talk to and say, hey, I don't think this is going to work out. We're not gelling. I can't talk to this person. They're not helping me the way that they should, or it's not on them. They have a whole variety of things that they're dealing with. They just don't have time to like give me what I need. I need to be assigned a support person. And that happens. It does happen when you are assigned mentors. So at my school now, I am lead mentor, and I really try to match up the mentor mentees as personality. And I sort of say, okay, you are both elementary teachers, and so I sort of partner them up with elementary, or you're both social studies, so I sort of partner you up with a social studies teacher. So if you're not getting along well with whatever your support person is, it's assigned, you can ask for another support person. And so it's really, really important.
And just go to if there is a content chair, like I know a lot of schools will have an English department chair. If you can't talk to someone like that, go to your immediate assistant principal and just say, I really want to do a good job. I'm struggling connecting with my mentor, and I don't even think it's anyone's fault. Could I work with someone else? Um, and many, many times, good administrators are going to say, absolutely. And so don't feel bad if that's something you need to do. Now, if you've never been mentored before, it's going to feel funny. It's going to feel weird that you might take a piece of feedback as a direct criticism. Maybe you've never been in that position before. Give it a couple weeks, but after a couple of weeks, um, I would just say go look for a replacement, and it's okay.
So, and along with that, it is okay to out that help. But a lot of times you do have to seek that out, and you have to recognize that those people maybe are not going to be connecting with you as much. The last thing that I sort of want to cover with this, as far as stressors, is um, it's going to feel very, very overwhelming, all of your responsibilities. And so it's really sort of important to sort of stay on top of things that have deadlines, your lesson plans, all of the projects that you might have to do, any kind of deadlines that you have to meet. If you don't, again, have some sort of process and procedures to stay on top of these deadlines, that's going to become a major stressor. So if you know that your lesson plans are due the next week on Friday afternoon, you don't want to be staying up all night Thursday night taking care of those lesson plans, because then that's going to add stress to your Friday. It might even add stress to your weekend.
Exactly.
Waiting until the last minute to do some of these things is just going to be more stressful. So even if you have to spend some time outside of your contracted hours, quote unquote, getting caught up and making sure that you're on top of things, that's going to make things less stressful sort of down the line. So
And
you
we
want to
will
sort of,
No, I'm sorry, Betsy. I
no,
was
that's all
gonna
right. It's all
say
good.
in a later podcast, we're gonna talk about some things that help you stay on top of deadlines, stay caught up, or simple things like setting calendar reminders. Just there's a myriad of ways that you can, stay prepared, and if not ahead of the game, at least caught up as much as possible. You will start to feel like you can never get it all done, and you will learn how to prioritize what you really have to get done. But we will at a later time discuss how to manage all the things that you are asked to do.
Yep. And then the very last thing that Jenny and I want to stress to you guys is that if you absolutely cannot find anyone else in your school building, maybe you are single, you don't have a husband or a spouse, maybe you don't have any family in the area that you're in, maybe you're just an introvert and you don't have really anybody that you feel comfortable with, then please, please, please reach out to us. You can send us an email and we will be glad to meet with you. Like it doesn't matter if you're in Alaska, if you're in Maine, if you are in Nebraska. We are doing these podcasts again virtually ourselves, and so we will be happy to meet with you guys on Teams, on Zoom, on Group Meet, on any of these things. We can meet you face to face just for 10 minutes, and you give us a debrief. You ask us a question. You say, "This is
Yes.
I had a really bad class today. What do I need to do?" Or, "I'm really struggling with my third period. Can you give me some points on how to control these kids in this particular class?"
Or maybe a coworker made a pass at me today,
Yeah,
made a move on me today, and I'm so shocked and don't I'm just shocked. What do I do? And so don't any sensitive, if it's uber sensitive or just I've tried to find help and I can't find the help, we will always be here to help you with those situations. And if we don't know the answer, we'll help you find an answer.
and along with that, we are educators, and there are things that we hold in confidentiality that we
Absolutely.
cannot share with anyone else. And so, if you come to us with things that are personal or that are sensitive, and you don't want us to share with anyone, then
We
we
would
will hold that. And we will not divulge that information unless it's something serious. It's the same thing that we tell our students. If you are close to hurting yourself or something like that, then we were obligated to do those kind of calls and phone calls. But otherwise, it's going to be completely confidential, and you can just sort of come and vent and spew all of your stuff out. Believe me, Jennifer and I have spewed to each other many times, and then
many.
it sort of gets it all out there. And so just feel free to reach out to us through our email, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, we want to build a database, a group of people that we're staying in contact with that comment and ask for help. That's like Betsy said, we're doing this as a service um, for you and other teachers, and we really mean that. So please feel comfortable doing that.
Yep. And that takes us to the end of our second week podcast. Again, we appreciate your support, and please spread this to any other teachers that you think might be interested in hearing us talk. We do talk a lot, and we will have YouTube channels created, and we have all sorts of just documents and things that we will provide to help you in any way that we can. So next week we will have our third week podcast, and that is going to be classroom management. So that's a biggie.
It
We're going to have a
is.
lot to talk about next week. So we will see you there.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye bye. Awesome.